Respected dignitaries and dear colleagues, good afternoon, everybody. My presentation is titled as Financial Planning for Age 60 and Above. My introduction is already shared with you, so I skip this slide. My presentation will not talk in the language of ifs and buts, maybe or may not be, pros and cons, but there will be complete clarity, no confusion, a clear-cut action plan. You may consider this as a SOP, Standard Operating Protocol, for financial planning for age 60 and above. I have divided my topic into three parts: general guidelines, special guidelines, and specific guidelines. In general guidelines, I'll discuss about the pure common sense and compulsory guidelines at age 60 and above. In special guidelines, I'll discuss about specially oriented investment plans for age 60 and above. And in specific guidelines, I'll take up the specific details, and based on these specific details, I'll present you a financial plan that will provide stable, steady, and inflation-adjusted income or cash flow till one's survival of age of 90 years, 60 to 90. Now with the general guidelines, there should be no liabilities, there should be zero AMI, and there should be no overdrafts. There should be emergency funds for 10 months expenses in savings bank come auto-sweep bank FD account. There should be 10 lakhs or equivalent to the basic medical policy for self and spouse in savings bank come auto-sweep bank FD account. Basic medical policy is must, and taking this as a deductible, one should go for super top of medical policy because this is most cost efficient and beneficial. Combining together both basic and super top up, one should have 50 lakhs minimum medical coverage in old age. Review your life insurance policies. If there are no dependents and if there is enough net worth for spouse to survive in case of one's death, just complete the term of the existing LIC policies. And please do not buy any more LIC policies at age 60 and above for you, your spouse, or your grandchildren. Apart from the self-occupied residence, no more real estate investments to be done at age 60 and above. If kids are settled abroad or they are very well settled elsewhere and they are not interested in the real estate, please do sell off all other real estate investments in your presence at your terms. Focus only on financial assets. Same logics apply for the physical gold and ornaments as well. The reason is the generation next doesn't like the complexities in the assets transfer. So make assets transfer as simple as possible by focusing only on financial assets. Most important assets to focus at age 60 and above are only two. The first is health and next is faith. Wealth creation is no longer a driving force at age 60 and above. It is wealth protection, income generation, and inflation income tax adjusted positive returns on investments. These three factors will decide investment strategy at age 60 and above. Age 60 and above, the focus is on simplicity, stability, and measured volatility. One does need equity exposure, either through direct equity or through equity mutual funds in old age, but it has to be in a range of 25 to 40% of overall assets allocation strategy. Registered will is mandatory for the smooth transfer of one's assets on one's death. Now, the most important question: how much is required at age 60 to survive till age 90? There are multiple and many formulas, retirement planners, retirement calculators, websites, textbook approaches available in the studies. I have studied most of them and I have come to a conclusion to a simple formula. The formula is 360X, where X stands for monthly expenses at age 60. So your monthly expenses at age 60 is to be multiplied with 360, and whatever is the resultant figure is the corpus that is required at age 60 to survive till age 90. Now, how I have derived this formula, what are my logics, what are my arguments in favor of it, I have discussed everything in detail on my website, that is rkhgajjar.wordpress.com. The post is dated 16th May 2019. Those who are interested in curious ones can explore the website and study my arguments. This is personal finance search. You are permitted to select the appropriate strategy, but it should not be violating grossly the standard operating protocol that is discussed so far. Choice is yours. Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. This completes general guidelines. Now we go ahead with the special guidelines. ITR filing is compulsory till one's death, until it is permitted opt for the old tax regime because it permits medical deductions under ATD and it is a significant amount in old age. For tax saving, NPS is the numero uno choice. As I discussed earlier, we do need some equity exposure and NPS permits 50% exposure. That is the restriction. One cannot have more than 50% in old age, and that is very much desired. Another advantage with NPS is there is no lock-in once the age of 60 is crossed. You can discontinue, close this account as any time you want till the age of 75. Another advantage with NPS is when one buys the annuities at a later age, say 67, 70, 74, annuity purchases with NPS funds has two significant advantages. One, there is multiple choice and it offers multiple options and they offer attractive and significantly better rates. And another advantage is when one buys annuities from the NPS funds, there is no GST to be paid. It is GST exempt. When one buys annuities from the NPS funds, many a times NPS funds may be in tunes of 50 lakhs, 80 lakhs or more. So this significant advantage is to be gained by taking NPS as a tax saving option in old age. Now, income generation in old age has to be from two sources. One will be a static source, another will be a variable source. Static source will be from the stable assets and it will fulfill 60% of the needs of expenses in old age. Variable assets, it will be from the volatile assets. It will be by yearly systemic withdrawal plans, and it will be fulfilling 40% of the needs of expenses at old age. Now, these volatile assets will be invested with a three investment bucket strategy, and how these volatile assets are invested and what is this three bucket investment strategy I'll discuss in coming slides. Now, to start with the stable assets, the first one is senior citizen savings scheme. Another is a PPF. If one has a PPF account, please do not discontinue it. And if one has a significant and sizable corpus in PPF account, it will fulfill the strategy of this presentation. So do continue with it till your survival or till the funds are exhausted for this strategy. If one does not have a PPF account, then RBI floating rate savings bonds is a natural and must choice. Other stable assets are small savings schemes like NSC, Post Office MIS, Post Office fixed deposits. Another one is bank and safe corporate fixed deposits. Another one is annuities with the attractive rates. Here I have used the word attractive rates. It signifies that one should go for annuities only when they offer attractive rates. And this usually happens when one delays or defers the annuity purchases to the later years, say age of 67, 70, 70. And another option is the reverse mortgage plans for the banks. They also offer static source of income and they are a stable source. Now about the volatile assets. As I discussed earlier, we'll be investing the volatile assets in three buckets. The first bucket will consist of the equity savings schemes. Second bucket will consist of the aggressive hybrid funds. Third bucket will consist of BSE Sensex and NSE Nifty index funds. Index funds, third bucket. And if one has already a demat account and direct equity exposure, then one should go for those stocks, those shares, which offer high and huge and handsome dividend payout in old age. In old age, one should insist for the dividend payout stocks rather than the capital appreciation stocks, because this dividend payout amount will supplement the variable source of income in old age. But if one does not have a direct equity exposure, then there is no need to open the demat account and go for it. This completes my special guidelines. Now about the specific guidelines, the most important part. Henceforth in discussion, I'll be talking in the first person language, that is language of I and my. I assume that I am aged 60. I expect to survive till age 90. I assume inflation to be 6%. And I assume that I expect that my monthly expenses are 60,000 rupees. These expenses include for myself and my spouse. These are basic, minimum, survival, livelihood expenses. So please make a note of. So the annual expenses are 7.20 lakhs. Now, a few words about the prevalent rates of returns on stable assets. Right now, senior citizen savings schemes offer 8.20% interest per year. And RBI floating rate, they offer 8.05%. Now, for RBI floating rate savings bonds, they have a base figure that is the figure of National Savings Certificate. Whatever is the prevalent rate of the National Savings Certificate, right now it is 7.70%. RBI floating rate savings bonds offer 0.35% higher than that. So right now 7.70 plus 0.35 equals to 8.05%. Please do make a note. RBI floating rate savings bonds rates do change on 1st January and 1st July. They do change, but they do not change so fast and so frequent because they are based with the small savings schemes. That is the National Savings Certificate. And whatever is the interest income from the RBI floating rate savings bonds is deposited in your savings bank account half yearly, December and June. Now I start in the first person. I have 60,000 rupees monthly expenses. So as per the formula, I multiplied with the 360. The resultant figure is 2.16 CR. So how I'll proceed with this 2.16 CR? First, I'll invest 6 lakh rupees as emergency funds, another 10 lakh rupees as medical funds. So totally, I'll be depositing 16 lakhs rupees in savings from auto sweep bank FD accounts. The choice is only because the emergency fund should be easily and readily available. So no other options except the savings from auto sweep bank FD account. 2.16 CR, I have used 16 lakhs, so I have now 2 CR. And out of this, I have to generate 60,000 rupees monthly cash flow, which will be inflated every year with 6% inflation till my age of 90 years. Now, this will be in 2 parts, as I discussed earlier. There will be a static part, 36,000 rupees, that is 60%. And another will be a variable part, that is 24,000 rupees, that is 40%. And this variable portion will be recovered or will be received from yearly systemic withdrawal plans in volatile assets. Now, for this variable portion, let me add a few words. We'll be applying 6% inflation to the basic figure of 60,000 rupees. Year on year, it will rise. First year, it will be 3,600 rupees. So first year, we'll withdraw 24,000 rupees into 12 for first year. But next year, we'll withdraw 24,000 rupees plus 3,600 rupees. That is 17,600 rupees for another 12 months. Similarly, year on year, we'll apply 6% inflation to the basic figure of 60,000 rupees till our age of survival of 90 years. So variable portion will change every year, and accordingly will be making the yearly systemic withdrawal from the volatile assets. So now we start with the stable assets and static source. I'll invest 30 lakh rupees in senior citizen savings schemes. It will give me 20,500 rupees monthly cash flow. So the residual 15,500 rupees I have to derive either from two sources, one of the two sources. First choice is PPF. If there is PPF account which is operative and significant and sizable purpose, I'll withdraw yearly. That is 15,500 multiplied by 12. There is a figure is 1,86,000 rupees from PPF account on first week of the April. Do make a note that the PPF permits only one withdrawal in a year. So make a yearly withdrawal. But if there is no PPF, then the must choice, optimum choice is RBI floating rate savings bond. And to have a figure that is of 1,86,000 rupees or around per yearly cash flow, I'll need to invest 24 lakhs rupees in RBI floating rate savings bonds, and at 8.05% rate of return per year, it will give me a cash flow of 1,93,200 rupees. So now I'll sum up. I'll get 20,500 rupees from the senior citizen savings schemes and either 15,500 or 16,100 rupees PPF or RBI floating rate savings bond. So it will total up to 36,600 rupees, which is equivalent or higher than the static component that is 36,000 rupees. So the options for static sources are senior citizen savings scheme, and next is either PPF or RBI floating rate savings bonds. Now we go for the variable source of income and volatile assets. As I discussed earlier, we'll be investing volatile assets in 3 buckets. The first bucket will consist of the equity savings schemes. Now, as discussed earlier, the variable portion will vary every year based on the 6% inflation applied to the basic figure of 60,000 rupees. So first year it will be 24,000 rupees. Next year it will be 24,000 rupees plus 3,600 rupees. That is 27,600 rupees. So year on year, this figure will change and it will increase. So to provide and so that there is no shortfall in the funds received year on year, for first 5 years, we'll multiply 24,000 rupees with 70. Figure, please do make a note. We'll multiply it 72 and we'll be repeating this protocol every year, every 5 yearly period. So whatever is the basic figure at start of that cycle of 5 years, it will be multiplied with 72, and whatever is the resultant figure will be invested in equity savings schemes. So the figure here is 17,28,000 rupees. Please do note that we need to provide for yearly inflation rise that applies to the basic variable figure year on year. So we need to make a provision for it. And so we need to multiply 24,000 rupees, the basic figure of the start year, with 70, so that there is no shortfall in the funds. So for first 5 year cycle, that is 60 to 65 years, we'll have 36,000 from the stable assets and 24,000 rupees from the equity assets in first year. And then second year onward, we'll be applying 6% inflation to the basic figure of 60,000 rupees. And accordingly, we'll make a yearly withdrawal from the equity assets. And this same protocol will be repeated every year from another cycle, that is 65 to 70, 75 to 75, that's all. So now I'll summarize. I had 2 CR rupees. Out of that, I invested 54 lakh rupees in stable assets, that is 30 lakhs in senior citizen savings scheme and 24 in RBI savings, protected savings bonds. And I invested 17 lakh and 28,000 rupees in EQSS. So now I am left with 1 crore 28 lakh and 72,000 rupees. Now this component will be divided again into 2 parts. One will be a 60% component, which will go into the second bucket. This 60% component is equivalent to the 77 lakh 23,200 rupees. This will go into the second bucket of the aggressive hybrid funds. How I will select the aggressive hybrid funds? I'll go for the funds which has got a high short-tenure ratio and low expenses. So that takes care of the second bucket. Now we move to the third bucket, but before that, let me tell you, this second bucket, aggressive hybrid funds, will not be touched. There will be no withdrawal, there will be no depletion from these funds, and it will be allowed to grow uninterruptedly with full benefits of compounding for first 5 years. For first 5 years, variable source of income is provided by this first bucket, that is the EQSS. And this second bucket of the aggressive hybrids will grow. There will be no withdrawal. But once during the 5 years, the EQSS funds for first 5 years are exhausted, next 5 years variable portion is switched from aggressive hybrid to EQSS. And the same logic, the variable figure that is reached at the end of 5 years based on the yearly 6% inflation applied to the basic figure of 60,000 rupees. Whatever is the base figure at the start of another cycle, that is 65 to 70, that will be multiplied again with 72. And this portion will be switched from aggressive hybrid fund, which has grown over a period of 5 years, from second bucket to the first bucket. So that takes care of the first component of the volatile asset, 60%. Now another component, 40%, it equals to 51 lakhs 48,800 rupees. Either this can be invested in one index fund or it can be invested in 2 index funds, that is BSE Sensex and NSE Nifty 50. So if we divide between the two, the figure in each will be 25 lakhs 74,000 rupees. The selection criteria for this index funds is the funds with the low tracking error and low tracking difference. Now, few more words about this index funds. As I discussed earlier, first 5 years will be served by EQSS funds. Your aggressive hybrid funds will not be touched in the first 5 years. Similarly, index funds will not be touched. There will be no withdrawal from this bucket in first 5 years. Not only that, in next 5 years also, that is in second cycle also, there will be no withdrawal from the index funds. So index funds will be allowed to grow uninterruptedly with full benefits of compounding for first 10 years. Then only as and when the second bucket needs some replacement, some replenishment, then this third bucket of the index funds will empty into the second bucket. So summarizing my strategy, the first bucket is filled from the second bucket, and second bucket is filled from the third bucket as they get exhausted. And it usually continues till the life cycle of 90 years. Now, what are my assumptions? I have assumed that the first bucket of the equity savings schemes will deliver 8% returns. Second bucket of the aggressive hybrid fund is assumed to deliver 10% returns, and third bucket of the index funds is assumed to deliver 12% returns. Now, this assumption is based on multi-decadal exposure to the capital markets and values with respect to the categories that is selected: EQSS, aggressive hybrid, and index funds. And based on the past track record, I am sure that they will definitely meet these targets of assumptions. These are fairly conservative assumptions. Now, a few more words about static component. We started with a 60% static component. But as age increases, one can increase the static component from 60% to higher percentage, say 70%, 75%, 80%. Because over the years, because of application of the inflation of 6% to the basic figure of 60,000 rupees, 36,000 will become a small component and variable component will increase. So one may have to switch again and one may have to increase the static portion. And it is very much possible also with increasing age, because with increasing age, annuities, they offer significantly higher returns with respect to the senior citizen savings schemes or RBI floating rate bonds. But this needs to be evaluated at a particular stage of time. And if annuities are providing the significantly higher attractive returns, then one can switch from the senior citizen savings schemes, RBI floating rate savings bonds, PPF, or even from volatile assets. And one can increase the annuities component, and one can increase the static component from 60% to 70, 75, or 80%. But suppose if one does not want to change and one wants to continue with 60% and 40%, that is also very much possible, and it will also yield the same results that has been verified by me for this strategy. Now, this SOP, Standard Operating Protocol, is totally scalable. What do I mean? So far, we have discussed monthly income of 60,000 rupees. But suppose if one needs monthly cash flow of 3 lakhs rupees, that is, income is required per month is 3 lakhs. So then also this strategy will apply, and it can also be planned. But the change will be the required corpus will jump from 2.16 CR so far that we discussed to 10.80 CR, that is 11 CR. This is as simple as that, sir. You can take up your own figure, you can apply the formula, you can apply the percentages, and the plan will work for you. Because this plan, this SOP is purely percentage based. We have 60% income requirement from stable assets, static component, 40% requirement from the variable assets, variable source from volatile assets. The volatile assets are divided into 3 buckets. First bucket of the equity savings schemes, which takes care of the 5 years. Another second bucket, which invests the residual volatile assets as a 60% portion. That takes care of the next 5 years and henceforth. And third bucket consists of the index funds. It takes care of, it gets funds 40% equivalent to the volatile assets. And all these categories, equity savings schemes, aggressive hybrids, and index funds, there is no upper limit. You can put whatever amount, whatever figure you want to invest. There is limit only with the senior citizen savings scheme, which is at present 30 lakhs rupees. One cannot invest more than 30 lakh rupees in senior citizen savings schemes, but it may increase in future also. Now, closing words for my presentation. I am immensely thankful to all of you for your patient hearing. Colleagues, I do write on my blog, rkhgetja.wordpress.com. I usually write about personal finance. In personal finance also, my areas of interest are retirement planning and financial independence. There are very short and simple blog posts. Now, let me make one thing very clear. I have no business or commercial or professional advisory interest from this blog. This blog is totally free to me. I don't pay anything to run or maintain this blog, nor do you need to pay to read these blog posts. This is not my alternative profession. Whatever I do on the blog or whatever I do in personal finance is purely for my personal pleasure. As simple as that. It's totally free. I am available to any of you for help on my email ID. This completes my presentation. I am immensely thankful to all of you for patient hearing. Wish you all the best in happy investment journey.